Hi, Chris McClune here for Rev It Up Coffee and Conversation at the REV Fire Group booth at FDIC International 2024. We're celebrating E-One's 50th year. With me is Larry Daniels. He is the Senior Sales Director for the REV Fire Group. Chris McClung, Vice President of Sales for the REV Fire Group, and Phil Gerace, Sales Director for E-One. Guys, we're standing in front of an aerial, and E-One has been doing a lot of innovation on the aerial side of the business for many, many years. So I think it's really fitting that's where we're standing. But Larry, why don't you talk about 50 years of E-One? What stands out to you? What are some of the highlights?
Thanks, Chris. There are a lot of highlights in a segment this size. It's safe to say we can't mention all of them, but certainly a lot of highlights in the last 50 years at E-One. E-One started in Ocala, Florida in 1974. And just tons of innovation have been brought to the fire service, not only for the E-One brand, but some of the innovation has filtered over into other brands of fire trucks and made the industry better, quite frankly. The thing that I think about, though, when I think about the 50th anniversary is we talk a lot about a three-legged stool when we talk about our business. And the three legs to that stool, you know, the stool can't stand without all three legs. So the three things that I like to feature in that when I talk about that is the legacy customers that we've had at the E-One brand. You know, we do this for the customers. We do this for the men and women that get out there every day and put their lives on the line. And you know, at REV Fire Group, our tagline is protecting those that protect us. So everything that we do is really about the end user and the customer. You know, cities like Memphis, Boston, Chicago, all of those legacy cities that everybody's familiar with and everybody knows that have been customers of ours literally for decades. But there are other smaller departments out there as well that have been very loyal to us. You know, Dumfries Triangle, Virginia, 40-year customer for E-One, and you know, so it's about all of those customers out there. We wouldn't do this and couldn't do this if it weren't for those customers and end users. And then the second leg of that is how do you get to those customers and users, and that's through the dealer network. You know, the 32 years that I've been part of the organization, E-One's been known to have the strongest, most talented, most dedicated dealer network in the business. You know, there are many customers that never get to interact with anybody at Ocala. You know, they work through the local dealer. That dealer is their lifeline to the product. So couldn't do it without them. We've got Greenwood Emergency Vehicles in the Northeast, a dealer since 1979. Can you imagine that? 45 years as an E-One dealer. Sunbelt in Alabama since the early 1980s. Absolute in New Jersey since the early 1980s. So just dealers that are dedicated to the men and women that protect us every day and have been loyal to our brand and to our family. And then probably one of the most important ones, frankly, is the employees in Ocala. You know, we have roughly 1,000 folks in Ocala that dedicate their lives every day to the men and women of the fire service with that.
Chris, can you add anything about the employees?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. You know, it was interesting when when we really started looking at this and planning, you know, the 50th anniversary and how we were going to celebrate it. We took a look at our employees, and obviously we believe they're the lifeblood of our business. And as we did that and went through that evaluation, I was really shocked by the results that came out. We had 62 employees that had 30+ years of service at E-One, and you know, when you look at that, that's somebody dedicating basically their entire career to the fire service and to E-One specifically, and that's what makes this company what it is. And you know, it's my belief. It's one of the things that makes it what it is, really. And we dove a little bit deeper. And when we did, we found that there were 178 employees that had 25+ years of service. You know, and I always like to tell this story. So there was this young man who came in back in the early 90s. He was green, didn't know anything about fire trucks, didn't know anything about fire service, just, you know, was looking for a job. He came in, applied, and got a job sanding bodies on the second shift, which back then was the night shift. And sanding bodies is not an easy job, let me tell you that. And started with E-One back then. And that young man is standing to my right now, Larry Daniels, with 33 years of service. So, you know, it's employees like Larry and many other employees that we have at E-One that we believe make, you know, they're the heartbeat of what we do.
Now, Phil, we're not only talking about, you know, just a 50-year anniversary. We're talking about 50 years of innovation. So can you talk to me a little bit about those innovations through the years and some of what's going on now?
Sure, Chris. Over those 50 years, really, you think about customers, the dealers we talked about, the employees, but there's also a lot of really innovative products that come up. So we've got a roll cage design in our custom cab, really excellent job of protecting the firefighters. When we roof load test that, it's over 5.5 times the standard, so incredibly safe product. On the aerial back here, when you look at that, it's got an integral torque box design, which creates a lot of stability for the aerial. Those jacks are on the ground, and a lot of strength in the aerial product. And then even today, when you look at the Vector chassis and what we're doing with an all-electric, North American style truck, you can just see that innovation has continued over the years and will continue into the future.
Larry, what are some of the things you're doing this year to celebrate?
We had a kickoff celebration in Ocala a few weeks ago. Thank you for coming down and being part of that. We celebrated the product and did it right there with the employees at our factory. We had a lot of media attention with that. We had a 1984 legacy style pumper there that one of our dealers actually owned, so it was really neat to be able to do that. We featured a new pumper for Pasco County, Florida that we unveiled our 50th anniversary truck badge on. We're putting that on every truck that goes out this year. So to see the 40-year span in pumper design from 1984 to 2024 as part of that was just outstanding. We were blessed with about a dozen of our dealers that came down for that event, and there were several customers in town as well. So it was just a really nice celebration. We're doing an employee appreciation celebration in the first part of May. Looking forward to that. It'll be a day when we can celebrate those employees that Chris talked about and just thank them, one time for that. And then throughout the year, each quarter, we're rolling out a lot of different things to the market about the history of E-One, talking about customers, talking about relationships, talking about product, and all of that sort of stuff. So it's there are tons of tentacles, if you will, that make this what it is, and we try our best not to forget any of those.
Yeah, and there's just to Larry's point, to dovetail off of that, one other thing that we've done this year is every E-One truck that's manufactured in this year will have the 50th anniversary logo badge on it, which we're excited to have that on there, and it really commemorates those 50 years and helps us look forward to the next 50 years.
All right, perfect. Well, Larry, Chris, Phil, thank you for joining me today. This again has been Rev It Up, Coffee and Conversation here at the REV Fire Group booth. If there's any information that anyone needs, they want to find out about anything that we talked about, where can they reach you?
They can come to our website at e1.com, or they can call any one of our dealers, and you can find that on our website with a search for who your dealer is for your area.
All right, perfect. Well, great. Again, this has been Chris McClune. Have a good one.